doing this to me, obviously racist, LGBT people. It's like white society in general. You know, whites, Jews, LGBT community. The rich people in America. You know, there's some token minorities mixing their Asians, some token minority blacks, and other token minorities. But these are the main people doing it. So how do you know that it's obvious that they're doing it? You know, if you were to explain this to someone else, not that I think any of you will, because I assume that you're all with them at this point, and it's been that way for a while. Okay, so basically, they they bombard society with psychiatric medications, painkillers, drugs, alcohol, different social media, TV. Right? They program people. I mean, how do you brainwash somebody? You give them some substances, and you know, in popular culture, you have them focus on a TV screen or something, where you put some images over their eyes. Right? That's what they've been experimenting with groups and individuals for a long time. Technology to kind of alter your brain patterns to make you more susceptible to it. Drugs, substances, and materials that would make you more suggestible and more easy to control. They found that when you're really masculine, that it's harder to control you. And who would have thought, right? The lion goes grr, the kitty just kind of puts up a little kitty resistance. So their societies, their groupings, the groups I talked about before, they kind of lack that masculine aggression that allows them to say no. And this happened a long time in Rome. When Rome expanded, they killed off the people who were more aggressive and the people who were more willing to accept, which is what happens in colonialism, okay, who has no higher reason to be here, right? They're not from the top martial arts line like me. They're just regular people. So they rounded them up, gave them muskets over time. They invented this stuff, and they went around the world doing the same thing. This is where we get Mexicans from and different races, you know, Filipinos mixed with Spanish, because they went around and bred people. And they took some of these people, at least some of them, into the social clubs and made them the who's who of their various races. Okay, that's why it's obvious that they're fuming and drugging me and changing my mannerisms and speech. Okay, because these people, uh, look at King Louis. Okay, look at Christopher Columbus. Look at George Washington. These guys aren't exactly Shaka Zulu times fucking 10. They're Simpsons, right? So they have this lack of masculinity, a lack of moral will. They like to disassociate with their manifest destiny and stuff, and own slaves and thinks that that's what they should do, just to make money, just to feel important. That's their philosophy. After the 9/11, they started waging a war on terror over the idea of their cultural values, and they value being narcissistic slave masters. That's why there's still a lot of human trafficking going on. People getting coerced in, you know, corporations. A lot of women getting raped, and people say that there's a component. It's not the main driving force. I say insanity, unfulfilled sexual desire tends to be the driving force, but a component is control. They're control freaks. They're rapists. They went around the world with their slave ships, and they colonized the Dutch India Company. The English did the same, and various European groups, and they combined their military with their corporate, with their slave trade, and they raped and killed and pillaged and so on and so forth. These are pirates, right? Western history, and the colonial history will say, is a history of pirates, and it's rape heavy, but they remove that from the history books to confuse you. So you grew up not thinking about that so much, and all of a sudden you get raped in college, is the model, okay? And when you think about the characteristics of a rapist, someone who doesn't have the strong will to do what's right, or someone who pretends like it's like a Republican, a racist Republican, or a cop. They pretend to do what's right. They get dressed up. They say, yes, I'm a white man, and da-da-da-da-da, and that's the minorities raping everyone. Okay, that's part of the characteristics. These people went around the world not with pirate flags, but with their nation flags, pretending they're in the right, and they never stopped doing that. Okay, now obviously, I'm not saying every single last white-skinned person. My mom's white, and she's blameless for the most part, though. My parents are complicit with what they're doing to some degree. Okay, so that's what's basically happened. My dad's from the Royal African Falcon top martial arts line, Nigerian. Nigerians are significantly, as at least they were, because they're breeding everybody a certain way. They're significantly tougher than other races. You put a strong Nigerian next to a South African, an Ethiopian, you know, Sudanese, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, even Niger, even the countries Benin right next to them, right? There's a significant difference between the toughest Nigerians, which are from the most populated place in Africa, and the average and the toughest of other groupings of people. The toughest Nigerians, historically, are the bell that rings the loudest in single combat. You know, even Chadwick Boseman, when the guy they chose, he was obviously a sissy of some kind, with all due respect. Okay, he wasn't the toughest Nigerian, but they like to choose people like them. A lot of these people are Jews. They're short, kind of elf-looking. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Just describe the situation. Kind of Keebler elf-looking. Adam Sandler, Rick Moranis, Bill Gates-looking people. They're not very tough. Harry Potter, and they want you to look up to them. Look how much money the Harry Potter movies made. Why are these kids watching these sissy movies instead of movies about masculine warrior heroes? Okay, because it's basically a sissy planet at this point because of colonialism and their agenda. Okay, so they think about people who lack masculinity so much that they've got to change the way I look, and they spend billions and billions of dollars developing technology to not only change your videos and your voice with fumes and drugs and hack your brain remotely, but to change your very pictures in your house. And of course, these people have been aligned with mental health for a long time. Read the book CIA Doctors, MK Ultra, mainstream history. Well-documented history. There's over 15,000 documents of MK Ultra. The psychiatrist himself who wrote the book, Dr. Colin Ross, went through these documents, and it was obvious that it's just the continuity of Western culture, right? It's the social clubs like the Scottish Rite were mentioned, the military, the scientific sector, law enforcement, the criminal underworld. They merged together, just like they said in the trial of this Chicago gangster. He said the CIA and Sam Giancana or something like that. He said the CIA and the mafia are two sides of the same coin. Okay, so this is what's going on. That's why when you look at things, the music sucks, sports sucks these days. It's like they're hooked to a machine. They probably are. I can't prove it definitively. I don't know definitively, but looking at it and looking how they're behaving, looking at their eyes and everything, it's like textbook mind control stuff going on here. Okay, and people don't even talk about this stuff unless they talk about it as controlled opposition, which is another form of just being in a rape movement, right? Pirate is rape it scrambled, corporate, core pirate, okay, core rape it, right? They're rapists. They are raped by deception. They redefine themselves and pretend they're decent and say and sabotage other groups of people, say date us and send us your hottest women as our secretaries, and so they can cheat on their wife and so on and so forth. They're just scoundrels. Right? You people don't seem to understand that it is not mentally healthy or smart or wise or what God wants to conform to the world. We look at Christianity in popular culture, right? All these early Christians that got killed. Why did they get killed? Why didn't they just conform to the world? Because God doesn't want you to conform to the world. In Acts, after Jesus already killed himself, right? Stephen gets martyred, and Paul says, Paul and the disciples and apostles say, is it right to serve you or God? And they said we must obey God rather than human beings. So we see this kind of appalling lack. There's billions of Christians and Muslims and Jews, and none of these people get that. They all just conform to the world. They put on their theater thong. Okay, they do their performance art, Greco-Roman social club-led stuff. They lack the kind of basic insight to say, don't conform. And what's worse, they reproduce. These are the children of eugenicists, the children of neocolonialists. These are the children of people who've killed the righteous for a long, long time. So you say, why is this happening? Number one, first and foremost, society put the emphasis on breeding people who just do nothing while righteous people are killed. People who are controlled opposition. The Civil War, both sides were evil. The Union and the Confederacy. They just people join controlled opposition, kill who they tell them to kill, do what they tell them to do, rape and all that stuff, and they don't do what's right. Every generation. How long do you think that goes on before there's indifferent scum on the planet and that's all there is? And that's part of why it's so easy to seal this world in hell, because no decent person would continue to reproduce. No decent person would conform. No decent person would cheat me out of my right to lead. They all accepted the bad fruit. The bad tree that bears bad fruit, and they refuse to redeem themselves. You can't be from a long line of people that refuse to redeem themselves and then become the redeemer. It doesn't work like that. Show me a long line of white people, for example, pure white people, the closest thing to it, and all of a sudden they have a Zulu warrior as a child. It's as preposterous as that. Okay? It doesn't work that way. You have to build toward heaven. The wise and foolish builders, the parable of the sower, sow your seed, right? Plant your seed. There's more than one application of this parable.